All right, man. We got to do it. We got to do it. We can't run from it. We can't run from it. We can't be frauds. We have to do it. We have to talk about the Philadelphia 76ers. We can't run from it. We can't be frauds. Last night, after an embarrassing showing by the Philadelphia 76ers, we were graced with the presence of Saquon Barkley being amazing. And we got to forget about it for a couple of hours. But we got to talk about it, man. The Philadelphia 76ers last night got embarrassed again. And look, man, yeah, you got injuries. Yeah, you got Joel Embiid and Paul George out. But that doesn't mean you should be 3-13 and be literally not competitive every night. You can't be 3-13 with about 12 blowout losses. The only close loss I can remember is the Phoenix Suns game. Every other game so far this season has not even been competitive, besides the 2 overtime wins. And some of them were with Joel Embiid and Paul George. So at this point, you can't say, oh, well, the team was built around Joel Embiid, so this or that, or, you know, they're responding well to their treatment. And you can't, at this point, you have to look at who's in charge and say, even with all of the things that you're dealing with, you can't be 3-13, getting ran off the floor by every team in the NBA. I mean, every team, bro. They got blown out by the Toronto Raptors in game 3 of the season. Then they got blown out by the Memphis Grizzlies without Ja Morant twice. Now they get blown out by the Clippers without Kawhi Leonard, without Norman Powell, bro. There's something seriously going on here. This is not, oh, they're dealing with injuries and they're losing a lot of games, but they're fighting hard and this or that. There's no fight happening at all. So you have to look at who's in charge, man. You absolutely have to. Look, the notes that I took during the game are this, okay? They were down by almost 20 points in the first quarter against the Clippers without Kawhi Leonard and Norman Powell. We're talking about, yes, James Harden, past his prime, but still, and I always say it, maybe the best facilitator I've ever watched play basketball. He's not going to drop 40 or 50 on you anymore. He's still going to elevate the players around him. But outside of James Harden, bro, we're talking about Derrick Jones Jr., who got here by doing a G League dunk contest. Amir Coffey. Chris Dunn, who I forgot was still in the NBA. 40-year-old Nicholas Batum. Mo Bamba. Bones Highland. Terrence Mann. Jordan Miller. Who? Kevin Porter Jr., who almost was out of the league because he's a maniac. And a dude named Kobe Brown. You got blown out by James Harden and a tier above a G League roster. Let's call it what it is. Yeah, they're playing decent. They were 10-7 coming in. You can't get blown out by this team. And when I look at it and I say, hey, the Clippers are playing pretty good for how, like, on paper, unimpressive the roster is. So why is that team playing pretty good with an unimpressive roster on paper and the Philadelphia 76ers are not? Because when you look at the Sixers bench, you see KJ Martin, Justin Edwards, Andre Drummond, Adem Bona, Reggie Jackson, Eric Gordon, Lester Quinones, Ricky Council. And the Clippers bench I just listed off. So what's the difference? Here's the difference. Answer me in the chat right now. Would Nick Nurse be winning right now with this Clippers roster? Would Nick Nurse have a record of 11-7 with this Clippers roster? Or would the Clippers right now be as embarrassing as the Sixers are right now? Both things can be true. The Sixers can have a very lackluster roster, but the coach is getting nothing out of these guys. Nothing at all. Caleb Martin absolutely lost all of his basketball skills when he put on a 76ers jersey. I mean, it is unbelievable how bad at basketball this guy was last night. He's got tape on his shoulder. He can't shoot. He's supposed to be a 3-and-D guy. He can't shoot. And then on the other end, he's getting beat back door by ball watching. Basic fundamental defensive lapses by a guy that we thought was 3-and-D. So he can't 3 or D. And on top of that, the dudes are coming down the floor. Guys like Caleb Martin and Kelly Oubre are saying, oh, I know who's in charge here. I know who should be creating shots for everyone. I know who should be initiating the offense. Jared McCain? No. Tyrese Maxey? No. I should be doing that. Me, a player who has been terrible at initiating offense my entire career. I should be the guy dribbling the basketball, trying to get into the lane. What is going on here? How is this the order of processes in this team's offense? I watched Caleb Martin with Tyrese Maxey and Jared McCain on the floor try to create and get in the lane several times and absolutely embarrassed himself. What is going on? At one point, this dude drove to the rim, stumbled forward, and threw the ball off the bottom of the backboard. Is Nick Nurse not looking at these guys and saying, hey, give the point guard the damn ball, you dumbasses? What? I saw the same thing from Kelly Oubre. I keep seeing it. Which tells me the coach isn't telling anybody anything. That's what's happening. When you throw a bunch of players on the floor and dudes like Caleb Martin and Kelly Oubre think they're the guy that's supposed to be creating offense, that tells me there's no message from the top at all. It's insane. Why the hell would a rookie point guard who's looked amazing and has 6 freaking 25-point games in a row be standing in the corner for Kelly Oubre to dribble a basketball off his foot out of bounds? Why? There's no message from the top. He's just throwing players on the floor and saying, hey, hopefully you guys put the ball in the hoop. And I like to say coaches don't matter a lot in the NBA, and the teams with the 5 best players on the floor win the game or whatever. But you also, when you have guys like Kelly Oubre, who if you don't, tell him what to do, he might ride a BMX bike into traffic. You need some coaching. You need a message out there. You need to say, we're running the offense through Jared McCain pick and rolls. We're running Tyrese Maxey at the 2. We're bringing Tyrese off with double screens off the side. McCain around the screen. Where's the action, bro? How are you not at least running a Jared McCain pick and roll with a Tyrese Maxey pin down screen simultaneously? How is that not at least happening in this offense? Instead, I'm watching Caleb Martin ISO. There's no coaching happening at all. That's the only explanation left. There's my Caleb Martin rant, I think. Yeah, I guess I had a Kelly Oubre rant too. I mean, he waved off Tyrese. There was a play where Kelly Oubre brought the ball up the floor, waved off Tyrese Maxi, and dribbled into a turnover. So at this point, people are like, oh, who are you going to have instead? Somebody that wants to coach at all? How about that? I'll take the high school coach down the street from my house right now over Nick Nurse. I'm not kidding. He's not coaching at all. Not only that, in a game on a roster where you clearly have two players that are functioning NBA players, Tyrese Maxey, Jared McCain, you can't afford to have any lineups that don't include one of those two players. And they're both young, and with the way the roster is right now, fuck it, you should probably play them both 40 minutes a game. I know Tyrese is still working back from a hamstring, and maybe that's what's happening here. Because there was some lineups in this game that were so disgustingly atrocious, I wanted to throw up. There was a lineup in the third quarter of Reggie Jackson, KJ Martin, Kelly Oubre, Eric Gordon, and Andre Drummond. And I said to myself, if Reggie Jackson doesn't score in this lineup, who's going to score? Reggie Jackson, KJ Martin, who's an NFL defensive back and can't play basketball, Kelly Oubre, pretty much the same, Eric Gordon, retired, Andre Drummond, for some reason retired. We thought he was still had something left in the tank, but you know, and it's funny that we were talking about the Chicago Bulls and Andre Drummond last year, and we were talking about, oh, I can't believe the Bulls won't play him. Oh, I can't believe Vucevic is getting so many minutes and Drummond's coming in and having 10 rebounds in 10 minutes. We didn't realize that it's because Andre Drummond can't play more than 10 minutes anymore. So we look stupid again. And then it got so bad, the arena was booing not James Harden, not Ben Simmons, not some other player returning to Philly. No, they were booing the 76ers because the product that's out there right now is a disgrace. And now the entire arena is booing the Philadelphia 76ers. It is a disaster. And in the fourth quarter, Nick Nurse says, fuck it, I'm going to put the G League on the floor. And I'm not saying he shouldn't have done that. I would have done that 10 games ago. But what it tells me is that Nick Nurse is completely out of guesses. He's guessing every game, and he's not getting anything, and he's like, I don't know what else to do. And he throws a Dembona and Lester Quinones and Justin Edwards and Ricky Council on the floor in the fourth quarter. And first of all, immediately, a Dembona dives on the floor to keep a rebound alive and sparks a fast break that turned into 2 points. Justin Edwards scored 4 points in 6 minutes. Lester Quinones scored 6 points in 9 minutes. And I know these were in garbage time, but again, these are players that I said they can play in the NBA. I'm not saying these players are going to equal a lot more wins or anything, but there's no reason for you to be playing Eric Gordon over Justin Edwards or, you know, just as an example. So he throws the G League on the floor. And by the way, these dudes played a game a couple hours before that in the G League. where Lester Quinones had 29 points and 6 made threes. A couple hours later, the Philadelphia 76ers are tanking so hard that he had to play a second game in the same day. You can't write shit this bad. You couldn't come into this season and say, I'm going to make up a story about the worst possible situation. The worst possible outcome of an offseason that we thought was going to be good. You couldn't make this stuff up. Super chat from Rob R. Spare a thought for Maxi. His only 2 coaches in his NBA career have been Doc Rivers and Nick Nurse. Yeah, and when it comes to Maxi, man, okay, coming off the hamstring injury, that's fine. But what we've seen so far this season is very one-dimensional. And I don't think I'm blaming Tyrese Maxey for that. I don't think he's as creative as a ball handler and as methodical as an offensive creator as Jared McCain. I think that's pretty obvious. I think Tyrese Maxey is a flat-out lethal scorer of the basketball at a young age. But when you don't give him a system, when there's no system run for Tyrese Maxey, this is what you're going to get. You're just going to get ISO, 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 step back 3, step back 3, step back 3, drive to the rim, try to get a bucket, try to create contact, step back 3. It looks very predictable and one-dimensional because there is no system. You're not putting him in situations that he needs to be put in. You're not bringing him around screens and getting him downhill and getting him running off of a pick and roll that McCain's running and feeding off of the gravity of the defense moving. There's no system. So Tyrese Maxey's weaknesses as a creator are being amplified or magnified because of that. So there's my take on Tyrese Maxey so far. Jared McCain, he's allowed to have a bad game. The kid had 5 25-point games in a row, tied a franchise record or something crazy like that as a rookie. He's insane. He absolutely could not put the ball in the hoop in this game. It is what it is. He was 3 for 15, 2 for 11. Somehow still mustered up 18 points. I think it was at the free throw line. Jared McCain got to the free throw line 12 times and had 18 points. Let's talk about Kelly Oubre being a minus 40. Guys, Kelly Oubre was a minus 40 in this basketball game. How do you get to a minus 40 when you only lost the game by 26? That means literally every single time Kelly Oubre was on the floor, the Clippers made a run. And every single time the Sixers cut into the lead, Kelly Oubre was not on the floor. He was on the floor for every single Clippers run. Kelly Oubre got destroyed by the Clippers every single time he was on the floor the entire game, and the only time the Sixers cut into the lead is when Kelly Oubre was on the bench. That's how you end up as a minus 40. Caleb Martin was a minus 25. So far this season, the combination of Kelly Oubre and Caleb Martin is a disaster. I mean, it's so bad. Like one of the worst combinations of players on a basketball court I've ever watched. We already knew what Kelly Oubre was, but you can't have 2 Kelly Oubres out there. You can only afford to have 1 Kelly Oubre out there. And even that is sometimes you can't afford to have that. But Caleb Martin completely forgetting how to shoot. He's literally now just Kelly Oubre without the dunking ability. Caleb Martin was 1 for 8. I'm pretty sure he was 1 for something 2 games ago. I think he's 2 for 40. Oh my God. So that's what I'm saying. Like, without Joel Embiid and Paul George, you're not going to be as good as you should be. But you can't be this bad. You cannot be this bad. Another super chat. DVW, Tyrese is a combo guard at best, but he's a natural shooting guard. They keep forcing him to be a point guard. Doc, odd choice of words there, morphing him into a Chris Paul like an idiot. Yeah, and Doc Rivers, remember, said to Tyrese Maxey, he was talking about Rajon Rondo when he was coaching him that one time when they were live on NBA TV in the training camp. It was stupid. I agree with you. Tyrese Maxey's a shooting guard. You need a system for him, and there's no all you're going to get is ISO step back threes if there's no system. Maxey is more Iverson than Rondo, exactly. So what did Larry Brown do with Allen Iverson, man? Left to right, baseline, coming around a screen. He had Iverson running all over the floor, and it was hard to keep up, and you had to switch, and you had to go to a zone, honestly, to stop Allen Iverson. So yeah, I think there's my take on the game from last night. And now there's a couple of things that I want to talk about. I'm going to talk about Nick Nurse's press conference and how defeated he sounds. And I want to compare it to a press conference when he was in Toronto and sounded defeated and basically said, I quit, live on TV. And then, this might sound crazy, but my guy Romp had a tweet about Daryl Morey that made me wonder, you know what? Who is Daryl Morey? Where the hell did he come from? How did he get here? And is he a total fraud or not? And so I started reading his Wikipedia page, and I want you guys to read it with me, man, because it's all starting to make sense. Okay? That's all I'm going to say. But first, I got to shout out the sponsors that make this show possible and keep me going, because I want to quit, man. Shout out to Game Time Ticket app. Game Time Ticket app has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. When you want to go to games, they're probably really cheap Sixers tickets right now, and you get $20 off of Game Time Ticket app by using promo code CLNS, so you should take advantage of that if you still want to go to a Sixers game. But if you want to go to any event, use Game Time. They do all the work for you. You don't have to sift through tickets on Facebook Marketplace and everywhere else. It's the best damn ticket app out there. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Terms apply. And this is also brought to you by our friends at DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sportsbook of the NBA. The NBA in-season tournament is here. The courts are still ugly, but your parlays don't have to be. The Sixers are ugly, but your parlays don't have to be. Get in on the NBA in-season tournament action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. The Emeritus Cup is every Tuesday and Friday for group play with a chance to advance to the single elimination tournament in the NBA Cup Championship in Las Vegas. First time, here's something special just for you. New DraftKings customers bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly using promo code RUNITBACK. Score big with DraftKings Sportsbook. Every point counts. Download the app. Use code RUNITBACK to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. I'm not going to call 1-800-GAMBLER, but I might call a therapist pretty fucking soon if I have to watch this basketball team perform like this for much longer. Now, check this out, man. There is a Nick Nurse press conference that I came across when he was in Toronto. And this was after the Toronto Raptors lost 7 road games in a row. And here's what he sounded like in this press conference.
We'll evaluate. I think when this season gets done, we'll evaluate everything and And even personally, like, I'm going to take a few weeks to see where I'm at, like you said, where's my head at, and just see how the relationship with the organization is and everything. It's been 10 years for me now, which is a pretty good run. Right now, my head is to get this and make this as long a season as possible. This team needs playoff experience, right? So that is where I'm at right now.
Do you put more thought then into, for whatever the reason, you might not be back next year?
No, I think that I'm concentrated on this job for sure, and this game, essentially. But I think that
I don't know if I've ever heard a coach say I quit in a press conference.
the organization is and everything, like you said, where's my head at, and just see how the relationship with the organization is and everything. It's been 10 years for me now.
He literally said, I don't want to do this anymore. That was in Toronto. And they were like, okay, well, I mean, if you want to be gone, fucking be gone. Here's Nick Nurse now, and my God, the man looks like he's aged about 30 years in a little over one season with the Philadelphia 76ers. He looks very stressed. And that's the thing, too. We can't say Nick Nurse doesn't care. I think he really wants to win, and he's really worried about his reputation and his future as an NBA coach, probably. Not that he needs the money or anything. He could retire and just, enjoy the rest of his life, not stressing himself out like this. But he seems like he's trying to win, and he can't figure out how, and he's running out of answers, and he just looks and sounds stressed out. Let's listen to what he said last night.
Nick, you guys are 1-2 since the meeting last Monday, last week. I guess, how do you feel like your team has responded to what was said in that meeting?
Well, I think I'm certainly, there's nothing you can say about tonight other than it's really disappointing, right? Again, I think I was fairly hopeful because this group, even was kind of this group when we played Cleveland, played okay, Moved the group when we played Cleveland, played okay, moved the ball, guarded hard, played tough. Same group the other night against Brooklyn, right? Pretty hard fought game, moved the ball, played tough, right? And they just didn't have one more in them, right? Tonight was not, the energy was the physicality, the energy was off, man, right? Picked a tough night to kind of have everybody kind of go a little bit energy draining, right? So gotta get them back and get to work and get focused and re-energize and recovery tomorrow and get these guys ready to go, because that group, we've seen them play some okay basketball, so we gotta do that.
By the way, the Clippers are a top 5 defense in the NBA right now. And that, again, starts with coaching. Now, they have some more length and athleticism than the Sixers have. They're younger. And that's going to lead me into my little Daryl Morey rant that's about to happen. And shout out to Andre Oliver with a super chat on the topic. I think we should demand a press conference or radio interview from Daryl Morey. He's been way too silent during this time. Nothing makes sense. Well, I'm going to tell you, okay. First of all, a couple of things here. The Philadelphia 76ers are 29th in points per game, 24th in field goal attempts per game, 29th in field goal percentage, 29th in three-point percentage, 29th in rebounds per game, 29th in assists per game, 29th in opponent field goal percentage, 20th in opponent three-point percentage, and 22nd in opponent rebounds per game. That we just could not have imagined that they were going to be this bad this season, even without Paul George and Joel Embiid. And my dude Romp had this tweet that got me on this Daryl Morey topic. All right. He said the Eagles accepted a youth movement defensively. That's because Howie Roseman sells high every single time, bro. Howie Roseman does not give a shit who you are, what you've done, where you As soon as he sees you reaching the peak of your prime or even inching toward being past your prime, he sells high every single time. And that's how the Eagles have been competitive since he was hired in 2000 by Andy Reid. They always have a good offensive line. They always have a good defensive line. They never let guys get too old. Maybe Jason Peters was here for probably too long. You know what I mean? But he rotates the roster right when he feels like this player might be cooked or might be starting to be past his prime. I need to sell high right now to get ahead of getting recycling the team with a youth movement, right? Or else you end up with what the Sixers have right now, which is a bunch of old players that can't play anymore. It's true. Anyway, they accepted a youth movement defensively, something the Sixers front office would never do. Instead, they went old, and older because Math Guy saw the odds go from 10% to 11% if they sign another old star. Math Guy needs to go. And when he called Daryl Morey Math Guy, I was like, I know he's known as an analytics guy, and he was, the Houston Rockets runs where he basically traded a center and tried to play small ball to outshoot the Golden State Warriors and ended up missing 27 threes in a row. I always think that's funny. And that, analytics can be used, right, as a tool to have strategy. But analytics cannot be the end-all, be-all. Because you're forgetting about reality, On paper, analytics can look a certain way. And you can say if we shoot this many threes with this many players that have high percentage three-point shots, we stand a good chance of beating the Golden State Warriors in the playoffs. But what the math doesn't say is, what if you miss 27 threes in a row in a basketball game? And that's what happened to that team. There's math, and there's also reality. So I said, you know what? I've never actually read about where Daryl Morey has come from and how he got here. So I went to his Wikipedia page. I wondered, has Daryl Morey ever even touched a basketball? Does he know anything about basketball? Has he ever played a single sport? Has he ever even been like the captain of a volleyball team in elementary school or something? And here's the answer. Daryl Morey is an American basketball executive who's the president of basketball operations of Philadelphia 76ers. His basketball philosophy, heavily reliant on analytics, favors three-point field goals and layups over mid-range jumpers. This style has been dubbed Morey ball as a nod towards Michael Lewis's money ball. During his tenure as general manager for the Houston Rockets, all the Golden State Warriors stuff I just ranted about, and then why he stepped down after the tweet about Hong Kong or whatever. But let's read about how Daryl Morey got here. Morey graduated from Highland High School near Medina, Ohio, before receiving a bachelor's degree in computer science with an emphasis on statistics from Northwestern University, as well as an MBA from the MIT Sloan School of Management. This is literally a business analyst. Daryl Morey is a business analyst. He studies numbers to tell businesses what to change to increase their profits. He's a business analyst. Morey began his career in 1992 with Stats Incorporated, a pioneer sports data firm. During his time there, he was the first to adapt the Pythagorean expectation. He found that using 13.91 for the exponents provided an acceptable model for predicting win-loss percentages. This guy's a fucking nerd. He's an 100% nerd, bro. That's why it all makes sense now. No wonder he doesn't understand that Eric Gordon can't play basketball anymore. No wonder he doesn't understand that you need size and athleticism. No wonder he doesn't understand that you need players under 25 who can run both ends of the floor and jump high and block shots and get rebounds. No wonder he doesn't understand anything about the youth, athleticism, and size requirements to play NBA basketball. He's just looking at numbers. He's literally looking at players, shooting percentages, and all kinds of other advanced analytics and stuffing them all on the same basketball team. It all makes sense. That's how, for the second year in a row, we end up with the shortest, slowest, oldest roster in the NBA. That's why he refused to trade Ben Simmons for a package of Tyrese Halliburton and whoever else or whatever the offers were back then. And he gave up another two first round picks for James Harden past his prime. This guy knows nothing about sports. He's a data analyst. And we've seen enough. That's where I'm at with it. We've seen enough. Your data analyst approach to sports does not work. And now you're getting blown away, blown out, ran off the floor by every team in the NBA because they have a bunch of 6'8", 23-year-olds. And you gave Paul George a max contract and signed a bunch of 35-year-old buyouts because of their career shooting percentages, probably. So it's time to fire the nerds, man. It is. And I hate to say you need to fire a coach in his second season, but there seems to be no system at all. There seems to be no message that the players are receiving. There seems to be no order to the offense or defense. The coaching, it looks like the coaching is terrible from practice, from the message, from whatever. It looks terrible. And the whole offense is ball screen, ISO, ball screen, ISO, ball screen, ISO. There's no system at all. And Daryl Morey's he's a business analyst. And it doesn't work. There's a reason this guy has not won a championship in the NBA. He doesn't know anything about sports. He just crunches numbers and tries to come up with a fucking math equation to predict how you're going to beat another team. Guess what? NBA teams are not math equations. There's my take on it, man. I seriously don't even want to hang out up here for any more longer talking about this team. I hate this team. I hate everything about this team. They suck. They've sucked for a long time. They sucked my whole life. Even when I think they're going to be good, they suck again. The only thing I can say is that you can't be 3-13. You can't. You can't be 3-13. You can't be getting blown out by James Harden and Amir Coffey. And now that the entire arena is booing the 76ers, and fans are leaving at halftime, and fans are going to stop buying tickets, and fans are going to stop showing up, Josh Harris is going to be forced to make a major change. Because I don't see this turning around. It doesn't even matter if you get Paul George and Joel Embiid back. They're continuing to ramp up. They're not going to be healthy this year. And the rest of the roster is atrocious. And somebody, right when I came up live here, said something about like, why weren't you excited about this roster before the season? Why don't you just admit you were wrong and stop misleading the viewers? And I don't know what that means. Obviously, I was wrong. That's pretty obvious. We were all wrong. And I don't know what misleading the viewers means because I just give my opinion. If I think something's going to be great, I say, hey, this is going to be great. And then if it fucking sucks, I say, hey, this fucking sucks. You know what I mean? What else can I do? That's all I can do, man. You win some, you lose some. You live to fight another day. But what I think is that, Josh Harris doesn't want to make any changes because Josh Harris doesn't give a fuck about the Sixers or anything. He doesn't care. He cares about his bottom line. And if the Sixers get Paul George and Joel Embiid back and somehow, some way start to win some games, start to build some chemistry and start to turn this thing around, then he might feel like he's in the green. But I really don't see this turning around this season at all. And Josh Harris doesn't want to take a major money hit. And I think he's going to make a big change. But you can't change the roster until next season. Can you even change the roster at this point? But, play Tyrese Maxey and Jared McCain. Run the game through Tyrese Maxey and Jared McCain, not Caleb Martin and Kelly Oubre. Fire the coach and the GM. Tank for Cooper Flagg or Ace Bailey. And fucking let's try again next year. You're not winning anything this year. What's the point of trying this? Your car's breaking down, bro. You're in a race. Your car's breaking down. If you keep trying to catch up, your car is going to blow up into a ball of flames, right? But if you stop right now, you can get a new engine and new tires and everything and join the race, a little bit later and maybe have another crack at it. There's no point in shoving this broken vehicle down the highway. So just let Tyrese Maxey and Jared McCain drop 30 apiece, 25 apiece, and keep losing. But I don't even have to tell you to do that because you're doing that. You're doing that without trying. You're 3-13. Hey man, thank you guys for hanging out. I did almost skip this, and it sucks. It does suck. It does suck, man. I have people in my hometown, telling me, "Hey, man, you're killing it on the podcast YouTube channel, man. That's amazing. That's amazing." And I'm like, "Yeah, but the team sucks, dude." And yeah, the views are high when the team sucks because people like to hear my frustration, but it's not forced. It's not fake frustration. It is frustration. So it's like, yeah, I'm growing this channel at a crazy rate right now, but I hate every second of it. I won, but at what cost? Do you know what I'm saying? It is very frustrating. And the team pisses me off, and then I'm like mad for the rest of the night. I just want them to be good sometime. That's all I got, man. I'll see you guys for the next Sixers game live right here on YouTube, man. You're the best. Thanks for all the support. And until next time.